My discussion about communication by Evelyn A. Mendoza. Our final requirements in retail management. Professor Mandayan April M. Miranda. Basic goals of effective communication. Number 1, media. Media communication or communication through sending a message by email, text, phone calls, and through social media. For example, if you had relatives to the other country, you need to communicate them through video calls, text, phone calls, and social media to talk with them. Number 2, outcome. Outcomes are the output of our daily responsibility, like in our job, in our relationship with our family, in our studies. For example, in our job, the output is if had a good result, like if we had an increase in our salary, that means the outcomes of our job is good. Second, the outcomes of our relationship in our family. If the relationship of our family is happy, so the outcomes in our family is good also. The third example, if we get a high grades in our studies, that means the outcomes in our studies is very good. Number 3, barriers. For example, we have a social distancing, so the communication is not good because both of you can't reach a clear communication. Second, many distraction. For example, if have flood, raining, and if had a storm, so the communication is not totally clear. Number 4, considerations, meaning is careful, true, or attention or compassionate regards for someone or something. And examples of consideration is someone deciding between two options for dinner. And examples of consideration is someone bringing a friend's dinner who had a baby. The 7 barriers to communication. Number 1, physical barriers. Communication barriers. Number 1, physical barriers are described as structural obstructions in both human-made and natural environment that block effective communication so that a message cannot be sent from the sender to the receiver. Some of the physical barriers are noise, technological problem, and organizational environment. Number 2, cultural barriers. Communication barriers. Number 2, cultural barriers. For examples is the body language and gesture. So it is impossible to communicate without body language because you cannot understand what is her saying if you don't use a body language. Number 3, language barriers. Communication barriers. Number 3, language barriers. For example, the Chinese and the Filipino, that's the big barriers of the language because they cannot understand their language. Number 4, perceptual barriers. Communication barriers. Number 4, perceptual barriers. Example of perceptual barriers are lack of common experience and lack of knowledge of any language. That's the results of the mistakes of the other people because they cannot understand what is her saying. Number 5, interpersonal barriers. Communication barriers. Number 5, interpersonal barriers. For example, have a group meeting between the managers and all the employees in the company. The agenda of the meeting is all about the income of the company. So, number 6, gender barriers. Communication barriers. Number 6, gender barriers. For example, when all girls enjoying talking about their crushes, so the voice is not allowed to enter in that topic because that topic is for the girls only. And also the voice also have own freedom to talk about their personal feelings. needs to talk also about their secrets. Number 7, emotional barriers. Communication barriers. Number 7, emotional barriers. For example, when the people is crying, we cannot talk clearly. That kinds of people because she is very emotional because his father is dead. Kind of communication flow. Number 1, downward communication. Downward communication is to communicate organizational goal, plan, program, policies, and procedure to the employees. Downward communication is also helps the employees to understand their duties and to relate their duties to just others in the organization. For example, can be written manuals, handbooks, memos, and policies or oral presentation. Number 2, upward communication. Upward communication is the process of information flowing from the lower levels of the hierarchy to the upper level. For example, upward communication occurs when workers reports to the supervisor or when team leaders reports to the department manager. Number 3, horizontal communication. Horizontal communication is the exchange, imparting, or sharing of information, ideas, or feelings between people within a community, per groups, department, or unit of an organizational who are at or about the same hierarchical levels as in other for the purpose of coordinating activities. For example, the participant in the flock of birds or schools of face all maintain their relative position. Number 4, diagonal or multi-directional communication. Diagonal or multi-directional communication is cross-functional communication between employees at different levels of the organizations. For example, if the vice president of sales send an emails to the vice president of manufacturing asking when the products will be available for shipping. This is an example of horizontal communication. 5 steps of improving communication organization. Number 1, use social intranet services. Use social intranet services. Yes, to have a good communication, especially in abroad. Internet is a large communication, so this is very important to have an access even in the long distance communication. So needs to improve the connection to all the employees. Number 2, provide private atmospheres. Number 2, provide private atmosphere. Yes, because we need to have a very good communication. We need to have a time to spend our co-workers or give time to have bonding with them and talk to each other opinions, respect the opinions in each other to have peaceful communication. Number 3, use video conference. Number 3, use video conference. Yes, to have a clear explanation to the employees and listen and focus very carefully if had a meeting. Number 4, prioritize company culture. Number 5, do away with one-way communication. Number 4, prioritize company culture. Yes, follow all the rules and regulations for the company to have a good communication for the company. Thank you for your watching.